Hey everybody, Jeremy here. Just want to make a quick header on this episode. We lost connectivity and spent about an hour and a half trying to figure out how to record this. We eventually did it by telephone, but it sounds a little rough. So I want to thank everybody for sticking in. Apologize for the noise. It is a fun episode though, so please stick around and enjoy Season 6, Episode 3 of Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze as we talk about gorgeous Gino Hernandez.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze, your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, and joining us now, the star of the show, Bobby Blaze. What's happening, Bobby?
All right. I'm going to tell you what's happening, man. I just finished up reading Matthew McConaughey's book called Green Lights, and we're hoping to catch a bunch of green lights for about the next hour or so we can come and do this podcast, Jeremy, because it's windy as fuck in Kentucky. And we've been trying to do this for an hour and a half now, right?
Yes, we have.
Tell them why we may sound a little bit funny.
We are recording on telephones right now, but that is also with bad weather and technology that we don't know real well. So, to borrow a phrase from my friend and broadcast partner there, this thing's more fucked up than a can of fishing worms.
Yeah. So we've got a good program lined up, and we've been looking forward to this because it should be a fun one. So at least we haven't let this fuck with us too much that we're getting in a bad mood or anything.
Exactly.
With we're just going to go through it. We're going to catch green lights, man. We're going to think positive because we got a good subject this week. I'll let you introduce the subject. The way we've done is, though, we went with Gary Hart, then we went to the state of Texas, and today, who are we going with?
Well, we are going with gorgeous Gino Hernandez.
Yes. There's some method to the madness on this podcast. So if you haven't listened, go back and listen to the Gary Hart interview a couple weeks back. Then we did the great state of Texas. And now we're doing one of the all-time great heels. We're doing a special on Gino from that territory. Mm-hmm. So this is this is season 6, of course, episode 3. And tell them who's bringing this to us. If when you hear the wind in the background, who's bringing this private internet access. Tell them, and we'll get started before we get the electrocuted or something. I'm out here in a pole like Hooterville, man.
Oh, God. What's her name, Sarah? Tell Sarah to make sure the line doesn't go down.
There you go.
This episode is brought to you by Private Internet Access, a virtual private network, a VPN, so to speak. They hide your, your IP address, your data is encrypted. I had a script set up for this, but with everything else that's gone wrong, basically, you sign up for 2 years, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's risk-free for 30 days. You get 2 months for free, and it's less than $3 a month. Runs on just about every operating system, and you can do 10 devices simultaneously. I've used them for 8 years now. If you are interested in trying out private internet access, go to tinyurl.com/blaze, PIA. All right, Bobby. I hate to rush through something like that, but gee willikers.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right, man. We're going to have a good show. We have a good show, man. I know we got a couple of notes to clear out of the way first. Go ahead and start us off there.
All right.
I know you got one note you want to bring up.
Yeah, so first, I had always assumed Hacksaw Jim Duggan had come from Cowboy Bill Watts, but Adam let us know that it was actually Fritz who brought Hacksaw in.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. He played for SMU down here in Texas, Southern Methodist University, and I guess Fritz did too, and that was a connection, and Fritz broke him in and trained him. So thank you, Adam. We appreciate that. Speaking of which, if you ever want to get a hold of us, guys, just hit us up on Twitter. Let me get this out of the way right now. Hit the professor there up at the Geekus Cast. Hit me up at Bobby Blaze 744. Hit the joint account up like Adam did at Bell to Bell Blaze. All those available on Twitter. And also there is a Facebook group called Bell to Bell Blaze as well. Go over there and join that and engage in some good conversation there too as well. Or answer, like today, I think we'll have some questions at the end of the program. Maybe some fans will be interested in and have some information we don't have. But we have quite a bit of information, and today's a lot of it's going to be just have some good fun with it. And we're not doing I'm going to start us off, I guess, just we're going to have a fun show, man. I got a couple of other little things to talk about. You got anything else, Professor, before we get started?
I do not. Did you have a couple shout-outs?
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring up one thing, man, just to let people know. Man, if you didn't watch it, go back and catch. I caught it the other day. AEW, Brandy cut one of the fucking greatest promos ever, man. Brandy Rhodes cut a promo on a bitch like you would not believe. It was killer. I woke up, I guess it was Thursday morning. I saw it. I wasn't watching the program. I just was on my feed, and I was like, holy shit, I got to see this. So I went back and replayed it a couple more times. And then, of course, since then, a couple other podcasts I've listened to, they really put over her promo. It's pretty damn good. Whether you're an AEW fan or not, doesn't matter. Whether you're a Brandy fan or not, it doesn't matter. Just go check his promo out. She fucking kills it, man. It's that good. I'm just telling you, it's that good.
All right. So I didn't catch it, so I'm going to have to go back and Google that.
Yeah.
And then let's see, there's something going on with FTC in your neck of the woods here pretty soon too, right?
Yes, yes. Giving a shout out to FTC. The Fail to Conform Pro Wrestling, going to have the Art of Grappling School of Wrestling coming in the month of December. Jillian Hall is going to be there as well as myself. Not sure the exact days I will be there. That'll be weather depending, and also the COVID depending on out there. Want to give Big Joe a shout out. I am going to be a part of that. I just don't know how soon I will be a part, but it's looking really good, man. I've seen the ring, I've seen some of the exercise equipment, and I know it'll be top notch because FTC does everything first class. They've always treated me really good, and I'm really looking forward to it. And from what I hear, Jillian is too. I haven't spoken to her for a couple months now, but via Joe, Joe, the wrestling promoter, we'll just call him. He'll catch that. The wrestling agent, Joe. Yeah, there we go. The wrestling agent. We'll just call Joe the wrestling agent, just an old rib there. So I want to give them a shout out, just while I was thinking about it. The only other one I wanted to give out was, I'm going to change it up on you, man. Let's go with, No Shave November. I don't know how many chicks we got out there that listen to this program, but if you're one of them chicks that's not shaving your coochie this month, I don't think we got any female listeners. I do think we have two, actually. But if you're one of them, and you're doing a No Shave November, send the brothers some DMs, hit me up. No dick pics, motherfuckers.
Oh, well, okay. I got to hit delete.
Just saying.
Bobby, don't look at my last DM.
Okay, just saying. But no, just having fun with that. Because go check out my girl, page, Black Delia, Dayla, at 47, at her OnlyFans account. Apparently she's killing it over there, man. I'm really happy for her. Help me pronounce that again, Jeremy.
Black Dahlia. Black Dahlia.
Black Dahlia, yes. I know her as Paige. Black Dahlia. OnlyFans.com, Black Dahlia at 47. Check her out, man. She's got she's a very beautiful girl. I've got a couple of nice pictures of her, just some wrestling promotional type pictures, but apparently her OnlyFans is up in the top 2%. And if you like that kind of stuff, go check her out. I'm pretty sure she's well shaved and smooth. Not that I've seen everything because I haven't. And we're just good friends and I always try to help her out any way I can. And also my main man, Casey King out there, he's doing his thing. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/Casey King and pick you up some Casey King, the Appalachian Dream. Pick up some merchandise from him, man. These are his personal favors, doing for a couple of friends. And again, I'm looking forward to it when it does happen, to getting over there at the AEW, at the Art of Grappling School of Wrestling, and being a part of that. So, thank you very much. Hit me up DMs if you need to, or hit the FTC site up. It's all on there. And it's more available on Facebook. That's where I was sent the information from, screenshotted to me. That's the only reason I knew what the fuck I was talking about. So that's that, man. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, so this week we are talking about gorgeous Gino Hernandez, the handsome half-breed.
Sir.
A man whose life was lived to the fullest, and his life and death are both surrounded by mystery, rumor, and innuendo. Let's start with, you guys, you know how we do this. We have a list that's numbered, but it's really just a way to start the conversation. Number 10, persistent rumors. So there's a lot of persistent rumors to cover about Gino here. Let's start with number 1. Gino was born, I believe it was Charles Eugene Wolfe, but nobody really knew his dad. People knew his adopted stepfather. I'm sorry, what was his name again? Luis Hernandez?
Luis Hernandez. He wrestled as El Medic, and he adopted Gino at a young age. And for the record, I guess El Medico, he had a heart attack in Japan, in a wrestling ring in Japan. I didn't know that, but that was Gino's stepfather, and that's who he took his name from. Even though he was adopted, we didn't know, who his father was, which leads us to believe that it could have been Paul Bosch. Is that correct?
Right. There are lots of rumors out there, and at least one Pritchard has said he wouldn't be surprised by it, and that was the rumor he had heard. And somebody else was told that Gino's mom was a cleaning lady that Paul Bosch was having an affair with. Now, again, we're talking about shit from like 1950 at this point, and there's no way to prove, deny any of it. And I tend not to buy conspiracy theories, but one of the persistent rumors about Gino his whole life, including his time in wrestling, was that he was Paul Bosch's son. And if you go and read Gary Hart's book and you hear about how close the relationship between Paul and Gino was, it sounds like there could be something to it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with just you know what? Who cares at this point? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter because we're going to talk about his legacy and what a tremendous performer he was and why he was so over with the world of professional wrestling. Because there's all kinds of things that claims of people with the kids and things like that. So anyway. The same thing with the murder. Man, we've heard he's murdered. We've heard he's OD'd. At first, the police, when he passed away at the young age of 28 years old, they said it was a homicide, and then later just ruled it as a cocaine overdose. Now there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumor about that as well. So we labeled this, let's just get this shit out of the way now.
Yeah.
There's stories that there was cocaine found in the stomach, and obviously you don't eat it, from my understanding, but there was some conspiracy theories to that too, and surrounding his death, and he was hanging around some shady people, he owed people money, blah blah blah. I'm just going to take it for what it's worth. It's probably just an accidental overdose. I don't think the man had any intention of killing himself or anything. But as you and I spoke off air last week, I don't think that probably is the best way for a mob hit or someone to kill someone either. So the only thing go ahead, I was just going to say, the only thing was, of all that, his door was unlocked, and he always locked it, supposedly. But I still just think, well, maybe, you get messed up and you forget to do something. I don't know.
Yeah. There's rumors that he was paranoid there for a couple of weeks. But I'm going to just game something out for the fun of it. Okay. So we know Gino loved cocaine. And we know he loved to gamble, which is where some of these conspiracy theories come from, that he was murdered. The other one is that he was running around with some mafioso's daughter. Okay, so let's take all three of those. Let's say all three are true. Let's say he was running around with this dude's daughter, owed him a shit ton of money for gambling and cocaine. Okay. So a dude owes you a whole shit ton of money. So how do you kill him? You stuff, and remember, cocaine was fucking expensive in the mid-'80s. So you stuff a guy so full of cocaine that it kills him 8 times over. Now, I'm not bullets are cheap, man. Cocaine's expensive. If you're gonna kill a dude, that does not seem like the way to go to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Another rumor though. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. Another rumor is that Gino faked his death.
Who is he, Elvis?
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I don't know why, but okay, that's one.
Yeah.
I
had heard that.
Yeah. And then Gino suspiciously left wrestling for about a year, never told anybody where he went. There were 2 things that were floated: that he tried to pursue an acting career and that he tried to open a nightclub. Now I believe to open a nightclub in Houston, you would have to run around with some, mafioso types back then.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah. So those are, and of course there were also allegations that he was either gay or bisexual. Okay?
Well, I was going to wait for you to bring that up.
Yeah.
So here's my thing again. Once again, I don't really care because a lot of quirky things, people's lifestyles and this and that, if that was his deal, no judgment here, man. I don't, but apparently he did, I guess there was speculation that he was bisexual, he had a special friend. But you know what? Again, I'm just taking the high road and saying, you know what he done in his private life, that's what he done in his private life. It obviously did not affect his, ring performance, in the way he could perform and cut interviews and work in the ring.
No. And, you know what, there's lots of people in...
I was trying to get to that damn water. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. lots of people in pro wrestling history have had drug problems. They've turned out to be gay later, and especially back then you didn't know. Now it doesn't matter. Plenty of open gay people in wrestling now. I really only barely came across that as a rumor, but then it all happened like a whole bunch of places all simultaneously. I came across that rumor. I guess it started with Jake the Snake, I guess, is the first person who brought it up.
Yes. Yeah. I think I got caught that same rabbit hole while I was doing some research on YouTube.
Yeah. And
I saw it just went from 1, 2, 3. But again, it's one of those things, you know what? I'm not here to judge any other man. Hell. Nope. We're just, let's do this. Let's put this out there because I started to say the stop of the show and I got going on some other things. One of these persistent rumors, they're just that, they're rumors. And we're not going to be doing the dark side of the ring with Gino Hernandez. That's not we're going to do a celebration of his life. I think we're going to probably end up, calling this one why he was so over. He's just an over cat, man. And, we're going to try to bring up the good stuff and keep it at that. That's what we're, that's why you put that as number 10. Persistent rumors. Let's just get this shit out of the way now. We did. Unless there's something else in that category.
Yeah, because all that stuff we just discussed really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It does not matter. I mean, here's the thing. Gino Hernandez lived fast, died young, and left a good-looking corpse. And that was
there
his life.
You go.
Yeah. So let's move on to number 9. And we're going to talk about that dastardly Gino Hernandez and his use of the Freebird cream on gentleman Chris Adams.
Yeah, he blinded Chris Adams with it, man.
Blinded
former partner, right?
Yes.
Blinded him with it. So I just said this to Jeremy. I know he's going to take a little bit deeper, so I said, hey, Professor, I want to make sure we're on the same page here. Didn't the FBI get involved in this or something? And then go ahead and tell them the story there.
Yeah, so I got to talk a little bit about the bad timing of this story. They did this angle where Gino blinds Chris Adams. Now, Chris Adams was using this opportunity to go back to the UK. I think, if I remember right, he had just remarried or just gotten married. Mm-hmm. And so he wanted to go spend some time with his wife. Well, at the same time that Chris is taking time off for the blinding angle so he can spend time with his wife is when Gino passes away. So the FBI starts looking into different angles and they're like, well, hey, how about this guy that Gino blinded in Dallas? And so the FBI contacted Scotland Yard to go look into Chris Adams.
Yeah. Yeah, some bad timing there.
And it led to Bill Mercer and Mark Lawrence having to treat, God, this is so tacky, having to treat Gino's death and Chris's blindness as if they were the same gravity. I remember that, hearing that thing, it's, Gino Hernandez is dead and Chris Adams is blind.
Oh, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. Anyone that's listening to our podcast, I'm sure they're well aware of that angle and all some of the things involved in that. That's just some serious bad timing too, man, to be taking your new wife to meet your family and spend some time with them. So let's cut this angle. I'm going to get, they've done that from time to time in wrestling, little things that, people need some time off and, maybe they've got a 6-week tour of Japan coming up way back before the internet and stuff. So they'd, get heard on TV or what have you. And then they're actually, making money, what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And it all comes out okay. That's what it meant to know that, it's just bad timing that he had it lined up that after we do this angle, Gino dies. Don't think it was time, time very good on either one of them half, but, anyway.
That was just a steaming pile of shit the way that had to work out. I mean, it was covering everybody just fine, and then it blows up into them having to treat it like it's like treating a death and a kayfabe blindness is the same thing. then just to add salt to the wound, the fucking FBI and Scotland Yard have to look into it. I mean, just a steaming, flaming pile of crap right there on your doorstep, you know.
Oh man!
But you know, just to get back to the fun things about some of this. So the Freebird cream obviously was whipped out, you know, originally by the Freebirds, and they would smear it on somebody's head, and then somebody would go bald for 6 months to a year because that's how long your hair falls out for. You know, Buddy Jack would run around with like a mop on his head and a wrestling ear gear, and you know, Chris, you know, they do all this stuff. So, anyways, instead of putting it on his head, he smears it in his eyes, and there's pictures of Chris Adams being led backstage, and I mean, they really played it out, and God, you know. They
showed him getting out of his car with the glasses and a cane and being assisted, you know, from his car to his home. You know, they really took the angle, you know, pretty damn far. That's the way it should have been, you know, for TV, you know.
That's why we used to believe it was real, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, let's move on to number 8, man. I'll say this. Gino did not fuck around his interviews and promos, man. That's just number 8 was interviews. And I think you and I must have caught a couple of the same ones. There's a lot of them out there on YouTube. And man, I tell you, he didn't mess around. He just got to who he was going to wrestle. I'll let you tell a couple of the stories that you've got written on there. But, you know, here's the thing, man. I've always said this is, you know, if someone else and I was taught this by Malenko and the Mass Superstar, when you're doing a promo, you know, if the other guy's yelling, you talk, you know. If he's talking, you yell. The thing about Gino is he knew how to elevate his voice and take it up and down when he was cutting the promo, when he just put over, you know, who he was wrestling, where he was wrestling them at. And basically, he just got himself over. You know, he was like, look at me, you know, almost like a Flair. He was just like, you know, it's all about him. Yeah, he would say who he was wrestling and where they're going to be wrestling at Sam Houston Coliseum this Friday night or what have you. But, you know, it's like there was no way you're going to beat me. He might put him over a little bit, but, you know, look at me. I've got the best suits, the best cars, the best women. He just didn't mess around, man. And he had, you know, I've got the strap, you know, I've got this strap, whichever, you know, promo he was doing at that particular time.
Yeah.
It's just good stuff, man. Good promos.
Yeah, he was. You know, like a lot of his stuff I hadn't really seen in years, or actually probably 2 years since the last time we talked about him. But most of these I had either never seen or I hadn't seen since I was a teenager, you know. Which, you know, wasn't that long ago. I mean, you know, let's be real here.
A couple years, I know.
Yeah. But, so Gino, he knew how to inflect his voice. He knew how to, you know, he could draw you in with the way he spoke. He was really gifted on a microphone.
Absolutely.
And when he did lose his shit, you know, when he starts to get loud and hyper and whatnot, it was because, well, like in one case I can think of, Paul Bosch was bringing in Lou Thez as the referee because apparently Gino screwed around on the ref to get a title win down in Houston, and so they were going to bring in Thez to, you know, slap the shit back out of him. And that's when, you know, he starts getting all spun up. But before then, he's pretty cool and calm and just going with it. Also, Bobby, I don't know if you noticed, but while Paul Bosch was holding that microphone, there was that big wrestling ring on his hand. Yeah.
I didn't look. That's a reference to last week. He was talking about Booker T wearing that ring.
Yeah.
No, I was actually focused on Gino and just watching. I did watch the video. The exact one you saw is bringing Thez in. I may have to go double check that, but I do take your word for that. That was one of the things we talked about last week in the deep dive at the great state of Texas, Lone Star State Wrestling. On that podcast, you brought up that Booker T to this day still wears Paul Bosch's ring. Okay.
Yep. I did want to cover this because I thought this was pretty cool. At one point, while Gino was the American champion in WCCW, he was feuding with the Von Erich family, of course, because that's what the heels do. But he took credit for Kevin Von Erich wrestling barefoot. He said he hit him so hard that his gray matter was affected and he couldn't tie his shoes anymore.
I caught that interview too. I think he pretty much buried Mike in that interview.
Oh, yeah.
Snapped his shoulder and ran him home. And threatened Fritz, but he also took credit for Kevin not being able to tie his shoes. That was like, okay. I mean, and then that ties in really good to your, this guy's character doesn't wear shoes and wrestle shoes, so you just tie it into your promo, man. That's good stuff. It's just, like I said, learning how to get over, and as you put it on there, they don't make heels like this anymore, man.
No.
Gino is good stuff.
Yeah, he was one of those cats that if you told me that somebody in the audience tried to stab him, I totally see it, and that's the heels we have today cannot generate heat like that. That's the downside to losing kayfabe, is you just can't generate the passion, the heat, and tell the stories you used to tell,
And making it personal, that's what I was going to bring up about that Brandy, promo, go back to the top of the hour there. That's like, Jarrett's and the Tennessee territory. If you had that underlying tension between the two guys, making it real, making it personal, that's when it really means something. And, Gino had that way about him that was whole kayfabe thing. He made it personal, A couple of interviews I saw from other guys, they said, hey, Gino was an asshole, man. That's just the way he was. Now, some of the guys, they lightened up and they got to know him and stuff, but he was meant to be a heel. He was a little asshole around people, and that's the way he carried himself. And so, if you come across that way, of course, when you get that working relationship and that arrogance is there, that's the chemistry, man. Got that heel that's already a natural heel who doesn't have to try to be a character or try to be a bad guy, but he already is a heel prick, then it's easier to work with that baby face, and especially when you got feeding the Von Erichs and everyone else, the Adams and the people he worked with, all the talented guys he got to work with, just getting them over. That's all he had to do was get himself over, and they would automatically get over. Thus, the match would get over, the angles would get over, the houses would come up, and you make money, and that's the name of the business, back like you said, before breaking kayfabe or what have you. So, they don't make them like him anymore, man. For sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, people used to go to wrestling to watch the heel get the shit kicked out of them. That's what they were there for,
Yeah.
Hopefully it was your favorite guy doing it, but, if not, at least the guy still got the shit kicked out of him. That was the game, Let's talk about number 7 here. Is he had his picture taken with Farrah Fawcett on her birthday in Houston, Texas.
And I kind of laughed. Okay, so as you folks know, we've got a YouTube page out there. Go to tinyurl.com/BBBB video. It's the one that Tex Johnson has set up. We don't have access to edit right now, but we're not, trying to get it taken down, nothing like that. But on our top 10 regional heels, we had Gino come in at number 10. What a professor and I last week, we're talking about Gino. We started asking them each other off the air about this picture of Gino Hernandez and Farrah Fawcett. And we were like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just hearsay. I don't know. Well, of course, Jeremy, being a computer man he is, I'm talking to him. He says, Bob, here it is. Gives me a link. There's a picture of Gino showing the pictures of him and Farrah Fawcett in Houston on her birthday. So I go back later this week. I don't know. Jeremy, we both kind of came from a bad place. Things happen in our lives, this and that. And, there was a couple of times we had to record the show, where we might have had a few cocktails in the evening when our schedules would conflict, and we'd be like, okay, I can't record it Sunday. Let's wait till Monday evening. Well, you're on California time, so I might be 4 or 5 or a 6-pack in by the time you come on, but I'm sure you didn't come right home and get right on the computer. You might have been a couple in.
All right.
So anyway, long story short, I went back and watched the number 10 most regional heels, and it's a hell of a list, folks. If you ever go back and watch any of them, all 10 of them are really good heels. When you got Gino at number 10, that says something. But Tex put the video together. There's Jeremy. I'm listening to the professor talk. He's listening to me talk. We're not slurring words or anything. But there's a whole about 1 minute deal where there's pictures of Gino and Farrah Fawcett right there on her own fucking video. And I'm like, just last week we both were like debating was it even real or not. We had it on our video about a year and a half ago. Like, I don't know if that's a sign of me getting older or if that's a sign of, maybe at the time we recorded it, we might have just been, too far deep into a 6-pack. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's...
Anyway. He did. He had his picture taken with her, and he liked to show and tell, as he said. I think he was cutting a promo to do a program with Tommy Rich, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Roddy Piper was conducting the interview in that one. He's really putting him over, man, and Gino's really putting himself over too. And you got to think about that. I mean, he said he's a good-looking guy. That's the other thing. But he said, I'm better looking than Sylvester Stallone and several other Hollywood, TV and movie stars. But here he is with Farrah Fawcett now. Did he go out Farrah Fawcett on a few dates? According to his mom, he did, correct?
Yeah, that's what his mom says.
Okay. Now, what else have you heard, though?
So we did a little poking around while you and I were just bullshitting about it a week or so back.
Yeah.
And it looks like Gino was a bit of I'm going to use this term and it's going to be crass, but he's a bit of a star fucker. And I'm in that same category. I got pictures with all sorts of people that, look, I don't know them, I don't hang out with them, but, here's the cast of Star Trek and Doctor Who and, whatever.
Yeah.
So I get it, especially when you're in a job where you get to just go and say whatever you want to develop your character. Yeah, you take that picture of Farrah Fawcett, whether it was a date or not, but you blow it up into whatever you need it to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think there's other instances, where, Handsome Jimmy jumped up on stage with Bob Seger and Dusty has, and Dusty got up there with Willie, and, you take advantage of those situations, man, when you can. So there she is on her birthday. Gino knew a lot of people around Houston. Gino was well known around Houston. So he had the picture. Who's to say that they didn't have dinner before or after or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe went on a few dates when she was in the Houston area. Who's to say? But yeah, you got to take advantage of those times, I think, too, and he probably did.
Yeah. And for our younger listeners, of which I'm sure we don't have that many, but you guys have no idea how fucking hot Farrah Fawcett was during the 70s and 80s.
I dare say that the red body bathing suit, man, and her little smile there for a little, that was one of the most popular. That was on every boy from probably age 11 through at least 15, and probably some men had that poster on their wall at some time or another. And if you don't know who Farrah Fawcett is, do yourself a favor and, go back and check her out. She's a pretty nice looking lady, man. Sex symbol, when they really were sex symbols, not just internet stars or Instagram stars and this and that. I'm talking about legitimate worldwide sex symbols, man. She was one of them, so, and there's Gino with her and getting over, man.
Oh yeah.
So good for him.
100%. And just so people know, if you go on Amazon, you can get a print of that poster still. So,
Still available.
Just saying.
Well, before we do titles, because the professor is getting ready to do titles number 6, let me just do a little promo myself, man. I'm out there, Jeremy. I've got a couple books. If you'd like to support this show in any way possible, we'd love to have you. The way we do it is just buy one of my books. We use some of the money from the books to help promote this show. Amazon does give Jeremy, the professor, a little bit of a kickback on it. I sell a book, and we both smile. I sold a book in October, and I was happy. I sold one book in November so far. I was happy. But I'd like to sell a shitload more, okay? And I'm sure the professor would like to see some more income coming in as well. But we're not here trying to, milk you for a dime or this and that. I'm going to tell you this, though. If you'd like the show to get a little bit of kickback out of to help us out, my books are available on Amazon. The professor set it up. My first book. I'm sitting there drawing a blank. Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boost Will Travel. I'm trying not to look at my computer because I only have these notes in front of me. Pin Me, Pay Me, Have Boost Will Travel is available. Just go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1. That'll take you right to the link. And you purchase the book. And again, Jeremy's Amazon affiliate account gets a little bit of cash into it. He puts something back in this program. I get a book sold. I put a little bit back into the program. Okay. I kicked that on too, The Educational Wrestler. That book is available also by using tinyurl.com/blazebook2. Okay. Now some people that I know personally, they say, Bob, you don't try to get yourself over on your own show enough. You know what? Because I like having a good time and a good interview, a good promo, and a good podcast, and the professor's a big part of that. So we try to do it equally, you know. So if you buy a book, that's great. And I appreciate it, man, but I don't have to get over it. I want this. Pay me, motherfuckers. Buy a book, and then that way I'm over, because I got done my job, and I promoted my book, and then Professor gets some kickback, and, you know, we get a little bit to maybe we'll do some advertising, some real advertising one day. Who knows? We're just a little grassroots podcast, but we're rapidly approaching about 10,000 listens, and I'm happy about that, Professor.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's nice to see these little milestones. Our audience, of course, we were gone for 6 months, so our audience shrank.
Yeah.
But, you know, it looks like we're slowly gaining it back, and we're hearing from new listeners about every week. We hear from a couple new listeners. And, yeah, you know, the main reason I'd like to get some income coming in for the show is so I could start advertising, like, on Spotify and Instagram, and try to gain more listeners.
Right.
So we can sell more books, so we can work harder, so we can do more cocaine. Yeah. So we can sell more books.
Oh, jeez. Kayfabe, damn, man. Gino, calm down over there.
There used to be that drug, like that don't do cocaine commercial, and it had the Alice Cooper song, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows. You remember that one?
I know the song well, yeah.
Yeah. But where the guy's like, I do cocaine so I can work harder, so I can get more money, so I can buy more drugs, so I can work harder. Oh, man. All right. So, yes, everybody get out there. Go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1 and blazebook2. Buy Bobby's 2 books. You could also do a little more poking around, and Bobby's got another book out there. You know. Yeah. You can find that one, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about titles that Gino held.
Yes, please do, because I knew this would be something that you would want to do, and I put open on there. I was like, I don't know what we're going to put in there, but at some point I know you could have switched them around, and there was a perfect place to drop titles in at. So let us know about some of the titles that Gino had, because there were numerous titles that he had, man.
Yep. So apparently, now Gino spent most of his career in Texas, but he did venture out here and there. But it looks like one of his earliest stints would have been with the Sheik's Big Time Wrestling up in Detroit. And
I was surprised by that.
So was I. And up there, the main title was the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship, which Gino held, and I found out he actually lost it to the Sheik. So Gino's time with the NWA US title up there was brief, but he had lost it to the boss, so I guess that's okay. But I believe that was his earliest title held, I believe.
Yeah, and that's when he was breaking in and also working as a babyface. Because I started thinking I did not ever know Gino to work as a babyface. He was always a heel, but apparently early on in his career he did work as a babyface. And apparently the women did love him, of course, because of his long hair and his good looks and stuff. But that wasn't his personality, as we discussed earlier. But anyway, keep on going there. We got the NWA Big Time Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling. What we got there?
All right. So the NWA American Heavyweight Championship, which was their premier title, he held that 4 times. The NWA American Tag Team Championship 5 times, twice with El Gran Marcus, 1 time with Gary Young, and twice with the gentleman Chris Adams. The title we keep hearing about, yet nobody can ever really find, the NWA Brass Knuckles Championship. He's a 1-time holder of that. The NWA International Junior Heavyweight Championship, a 1-time holder of that. I believe that was more of a Houston title, I believe. But NWA,
that's the one that's going to bring in, Say as a special referee. Yeah, junior heavyweight title. Yeah.
NWA Texas Heavyweight Championship 6 times. NWA Texas Tag Team Championship 3 times, once with Jimmy Snuka, once with Pac Song, and once with Bruiser Brody. Fuck, man, those are just some teams right there.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, jeez. Okay. NWA World 6-Man Tag Championship, Texas version, 1 time with Chris Adams and Jake Roberts. That's a team right there. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
The NWA Texas Heavyweight Championship Tournament in 1984. He was the winner of that tournament. In Southwest Championship Wrestling, Tag Team Champion SCW Southwest Tag Team Championship 5 times with Tully Blanchard. Which, and didn't I say, oh man, what a great tag team Tully Blanchard and Gino would have been if they'd ever worked together, and then it turned out that they didn't. I just didn't know about it. SCW World Tag Team Championships 2 times with Tully Blanchard. And then I know you rib me a little bit when I bring these up, but Pro Wrestling Illustrated ranked him number 162 of 500 in the PWI years. It was in 2003 they gave him that, and ranked number 65 on top tag teams of the PWI years with Chris Adams.
Yeah. No, I know I like to review about it because in that PWI years, I think mine from 93, 2000 to 2003 as well. I got listed because I got a magazine, that year, 2003, I guess it was. I might have got it 2004 by the time they roll around, but I was my accumulations, I was able to get a pretty good ranking there, at least in the top 500. So, once I got into it, once I got in there for myself, I broke in like, maybe 390 or something, then went to like 290, then went to like 264. The highest ranking I got was 109, man. That's a pretty fucking high ranking,
That's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah, it got national coverage and international coverage because I got a couple of tours of Japan and stuff out of it. No, it's just when I was breaking in, it was kind of a rib to me when the way it was explained to me how it works,
Yeah.
But, no, I really admire that. And as a fan, I love the PWI as a young fan. And even once I got in the wrestling business, I mean, there was a lot of people carried around in the gym bags and this and that. I mean, deep down, you could say, we're all fans, call it marks if you want, but the bottom line is the boys like that publicity just as much as the fans do, to see their favorite wrestler in there. No, I admire that. Those are pretty high rankings for him. Anyway, with that said, Gino, we're going to go number 5. Gino was just a good heel, man. He just, like we already covered this up top, but really that they just don't make him like it anymore. He's just cut out to be a heel. Just the way he carried himself, like I said, several of the guys said, he's just a natural asshole. And that's just the way he conducted himself, man. And it's work in the ring. So we're just going to talk about a few things as to why, he was such a good heel. I guess, I don't know if it started exactly with this turn, but he turned on his trainer, right? Jose Lothario, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Now, again, I don't know if that's what turned him heel, but this is something that happened. So,
he one of my favorites, I still wear the t-shirt from time to time. I broke Wahoo's leg, but I discovered
I know you have that.
Yeah, I discovered that Gino wore a shirt that said I broke Jose's arm. And,
I saw that. I cracked. I
thought that was pretty awesome. I went and I just kind of did some digging around because I wanted to hear what other people had to say about Gino and his shtick and his being a heel. And I came across where Brian Last and Jim Cornette were talking about him. And Cornette said that he was a condescending, rich, arrogant playboy heel asshole, basically, and he was perfect at it. That was Cornette's thing. And they were discussing, and this is going to come up again later, but they were discussing whether Gino could have been a bigger star than Ric Flair. And that was one of the things that he came in with, is that, they had that similar character, but Gino really had that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, and maybe somebody out there can correct me, but I was coming across, okay, so hair matches have always been a thing, okay? You lose, you get your head shaved, okay. But it looks like Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez were the first to bring scissors for every match and always cut their opponent's hair, a shtick later taken by Adrian Adonis and then Bruce the Barber Beefcake.
Yep.
And looks like they were the first to really do that. So that's a huge machine right there,
Yeah. I need a quick drink there, water. I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you when you run down there. When you was talking about Cornette and Last, I heard that interview as well, and about him being an arrogant playboy, heel, all that. and whether he could have been more popular than Ric Flair. I don't know if you caught this promo. It just came out about a month ago. It was on Ask Arn, and Arn made a good point, and that was, you know, the NWA, and he wasn't just putting over Flair. He was talking with the NWA World Champion. You just got to understand that in that week he might be in one town, several nights in a row, 3 or 4 different towns, 3 or 4 different states away, and then maybe even have an international belt a match on there, and then have to fly back and wrestle again in another town in the U.S. I mean, it's just constantly on the road, you know, to be able to keep up with that. And Gino's lifestyle, Arn wasn't putting him down or anything. He wasn't condescending him. He wasn't putting him over. He just said that's one of the things to consider for a great NWA champion. Those guys had to travel so much, and then also build their matches were very 45 minutes minimum, but probably a lot of hour if you go back and look at those, you know, from Briscoes to Funks to Harley and all that. All those guys to Flairs, hours. Go through an hour, and you have to make that guy look worthy, you know, so you can't just go out there and pummel someone for 45 minutes or 60 minutes, or take a pummel. You had to make it competitive and convincing that when you came to that territory to make their champion look good, that he was worthy enough of having a championship title, match and hopefully win the title. So I don't know, again, we know what kind of Flair, man, that guy's a machine. He knew how to do it. He could do it night after night, do the 60 minutes. He could do you know, everyone said if he stayed out late, he was still the first one at the gym the next day. You know, that's just a different kind of person. Who's to say whether Gino could or could not have held that kind of schedule? I don't know. I personally think he would have been a great champion for the NWA if he could have held that kind of schedule, because I know he could have had those kind of matches, you know, and the way he conducted himself, I think he would have, you know, quote, drawn money everywhere he went. I do think so. That's just my personal opinion, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But like you said, he played it because that's the way he lived it, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, I'm sure this will come up again, but Gino lived his gimmick. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you know. Yeah, and I did come across that where a lot of people were like, the reason why I would say he couldn't Flair is because Gino was kind of, not, lazy isn't the right term, but Gino wanted to stay in Texas. Gino didn't want to go all over the place. Gino wanted to, like, work his territory, and I think it was Cornette was saying, like, you know, 3 nights a week Gino's working or within an hour of his house. And, you know, I mean, he didn't have a real hard travel schedule. He was making, Cornette said he probably made $100,000 or a little over $100,000 in the down years. So Gino was still making money just right there. Kind of like Gary Hart, you know, like, why would I go travel if I can do this right here?
Right. Well, I saw I listened to both Pritchard's interviews too, and Tom said that, you know, when he was working for Houston, the main event spot there paid $5,000 per night. And there was a time that Gino went almost a year and just worked Houston only on a Saturday night show in the main event, and was making $5,000. He said that spot always played between $2,500 and $5,000, and Gino worked his way into that spot, you know, so, why go halfway across the country, for something, maybe half of that amount of money or a third of that money or what have you. But, hell, like you said, 3 nights a week, he's driving somewhere up an hour of his home, and making killer money. And like I said, on his down years, and that, you know, you're talking, this was late 70s, early 80s money, making $5,000 in a main event in Houston. You know, that's pretty damn good money. I don't have the inflation calculator out, but that's some pretty damn good money to be making.
Yeah, it was a shitball of money is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, sure was.
I mean, just picture, I mean, even making $5,000 a week now, you'd be shitting in tall cotton all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But imagine, you know, at that time period, he could have made a living, a very, what would you call it, a very rich living, working just Saturday night in Houston. You know?
Yeah, and living his arrogant lifestyle, the Playboy lifestyle.
That's it.
You know, being single, you know, I did find this. He was married twice to the same woman. Just, you know, those interviews are out there. just so you can know it. But for the most part, it looked, and I think each time he was married, it lasted like a year maybe. You know what I'm saying? When a spouse, when you go down, again, that was just Wikipedia. Just throwing that out there, that he was married to the same lady twice for like a year, with maybe a few years in between them being married. I don't know the exact years. Just saying, it looked to me like he must have enjoyed being the playboy, you know, and living that lifestyle, living his gimmick. I don't think marriage was in his cards, you know.
Yeah.
Again, that's not me personally, making a judgment call or anything. I'm just saying it seemed like if Gino was happy going to Houston once a week and, having a hell of a good main event match, making his 5,000, doing whatever he wanted to do the rest of the week, then good for him. He was doing what he needed to do, you know. So just saying, he must have been, he enjoyed the single life, I think, a lot more.
Oh yeah, I am sure. And, you know, and why not? You got all that money all around. And, you know, like you said, he was living his gimmick, so, you know, between heart palpitations anyways, you probably have a fucking blast doing it. I mean,
we say it's a great heel, and as an example of a great heel, it's going to lead us, we put into that number 5, leads us right into number 4, because there's another couple good heels in here that Gino was associated with. So even if you got one of those $5,000 payoffs and you happen to be in a tag match, you're still making $2,500. That's a pretty good night's work, and I'm sure they had several probably $2,000 to $5,000 nights there with a couple of these guys I'm going to bring up next. So bring us up, Professor. What was number 4?
All right, number 4 is the Dynamic Duo. So Gino was in 2 versions of the tag team with that name. Originally in SCW, SCW with Tully Blanchard. But the more famous version would be at WCCW with Gentleman Chris Adams. And, they were just hated their little promo bits. And I don't know if anybody else is doing this yet. WCCW would like go meet you in the parking lot or follow you to the gym. They do these like outside area things, creeping up on your van by a bridge in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm still bringing that up. Yeah.
But they'd go and, you know, so Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez were going to the gym and they'd pull up in a vest with their bags of expensive gym gear and back, and they'd head in and get it. And Chris Adams,
so 80s, by the way. Their gym gear and that music and stuff, it was so 80s. I was loving it, man. It was funny or thought.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, it wasn't Terry Gordy flipping out over his van kind of good, but it was right up there.
No, but I'll tell you what was though, when there's a promo out there and Gordy and Michael Hayes interrupt Gino's promo and they run him off. They said, "Get out of here." And then Gordy once again takes his shirt off and starts hitting the ground after what Killer Khan had done to him. So it wasn't as funny as the banging in the parking lot. But what it is on YouTube it says Gino Hernandez and Freebird interview. Gino is just finishing up when it comes on, you know, it's like about a 2-minute bit. So for about the first 10 or 15, maybe 20 seconds of Gino talking about how, you know, he can't wait to be in Houston on Saturday or whatever it is. But here comes Gordy and Hayes, and they go, "Get out of here." And then Gordy's like pulling his hair a little bit and doing his little bam bam stomp, and Michael Hayes like, "You don't do that to us, you don't do that to us." And Gordy comes back over and he goes, I know you did your spike on me. I know the Asiatic spike too. And he takes his shirt off, throws it down, man, and he goes on the ground on his back again and starts wobbling around. There's fucking Big Terry Gordy, man. "Killer Khan, I can't believe you done that to, no one does that to us," you know. So, anyway, there's our comedy spot for the week. Once again, brought to you by the Freebirds. But man, it was funnier than hell. So, I didn't get to actually, of all the promos I did watch of Gino, that was one of actually, it was a little bit mislabeling, you know, here, watch this, it was like, here's 10 seconds of Gino, but this is a Freebird, promo, you know, this is Killer Khan. So, pretty funny stuff there, man.
The Killer Khan bit is just the gift that keeps giving, you know that?
Yeah.
It really is.
But you're right. They had that way of just sneaking up on you. We talked, if you're not familiar with that, what we was talking about Gordy, go back a few episodes when we was talking about Bam Bam Gordy, and Bill Mercer comes up and said, don't touch my van, you know, under a bridge there. But anyway, he did creep up on him in a gym there, and there they are, and they're kind of Rocky 3-ish attire, I guess. I don't know, Rocky 1 maybe even, with the headbands and, more Rocky, maybe Rocky 2.
Yeah,
would you
I
say?
think it's like a Rocky 2 era, yeah. That's
more Rocky 2 era, yeah. The headbands, the let's get physical, you know, that whole thing. They're going to sit up together, man. It's almost like the old Memphis stuff when they had the Fabs out there, you know, riding horses and fucking wrestling trunks and stuff, and motorcycles and stuff. You know, just kind of same thing, you know, they're at the gym together, getting out of their Corvette with their sunglasses, getting their fancy, workout gear on anyway.
Yeah, the only thing I ever took from those Fabulous Ones, little promo bits, was I got the feeling they bathed together for some reason. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Let's
move on to number 3, because it'll be rather quick. So, at one point, he was born as Gorgeous Gino. So, but he mostly was known as the Handsome Half-Breed. I thought that was pretty damn cool, man. The Handsome Half-Breed. And if you go back and watch, like I said, I went back and watched the one that Tex done for us on the YouTube channel, and I think you call him the Handsome Heartthrob or something like that. And we finally come to the conclusion it was a Handsome Half-Breed.
Yeah.
But, we start talking about, when he says it, I said, kind of reminds me of that Cher song, you know, Gypsy Thieves, Tramps and Thieves, or whatever it was. And anyway, it's actually, when we went back, we done one, I won't mention it because this guy's name may come up in the future, that we're going to do someone, but we've already done a bit part on him in the past. I went back and listened to it, told Professor, I said, go back and listen. He knows which podcast I'm talking about. We was on that day. We really were. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, anyway, this one here, like I said, the one I keep referencing today, I don't know if you and I was on. Or we was on something. I don't know, man. But anyway, it's just really funny because I'm sitting there singing an old Cher song, and it's only like a 10-minute video that Tex put together. But thank God it was only 10 minutes of our voices because we weren't, when we were doing our regional heels, you know what it was, we weren't gelling together yet, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's
that was still kind of early.
It's good. It was early. It's good, but it's also funny just to go back and say, oh man, them guys were just getting started. You could tell. But, the Handsome Half-Breed, man, I like that, man.
Oh yeah, okay, so the Cher song Half-Breed was a hit in the 70s. You know,
don't make me sing it again because I heard how bad I sung it on the thing 2 years ago.
But you know, the thing is, we're talking about a dude who was Charles Eugene Wolfe was his real name. There is not a more English name than that on the planet. I mean, that is like born in like Leeds or something. I mean, that is his English. But you know, so Half-Breed, which Half-Breed is the term they used to sling on people that were part Indian and part white. And it's got some ugly connotations to it.
Yes.
But, you know, for Gino,
let me put this out there. I have nothing but respect for Native American Indians, too, just so you know. We're just going by this guy's gimmick in the late 70s and 80s, folks. Don't want any backlash out of that, because if anyone respects, I do. Trust me, I do.
You know, my great-grandmother...
Thrown out there.
Yeah, my great-grandmother was raised in a white orphanage on the Indian Territory in Oklahoma and lied about being Indian. Nope, I'm not Indian. I'm not Indian at all. That's what it used to be like to be a half-breed. You know, and Gino Hernandez is like up there. It's kind of like hearing rap guys drop the N-word. He's just like, no, I'm taking the name. I'm owning it. I'm running with it. Fuck all
Point well made right there, man. Point well made.
But again, you know, Gino, I think, might have been more English than anybody I've ever seen. Charles Eugene Wolfe. That is English. Yes, Jesus Christ. But so Gino got in there, and you know, he was a handsome guy. And the chicks dug him, and even when he went heel, they still kind of, you know, not Von Erich crazy, but they still kind of went crazy for him. So, you know,
I guarantee it. there's a lot of panty dropping in Dallas and Houston when Gino come. You know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He had his pick. Just you could just about guarantee it. And he even said it, and I like this. Man, he said he was more handsome than Sylvester Stallone and Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
So he's putting himself over too, that arrogance. So yeah, he's there's no doubt he had his way with numerous women, and again, times were different then, folks. Times were different then.
Oh yeah,
and he might have had a few. He was just a handsome guy, so
yeah.
he probably appealed. Maybe he was like a Jim Morrison. He appealed. He had an it factor. He appealed to men and women. Maybe what I'm saying.
Could be.
The men hated him so bad they wanted to kill him because their girls wanted to be with him. The girls did want to be with him. But he's one of them guys too. That's the thing. Gino just had an it factor, man. Like, Elvis had it. James Douglas Morrison had it. Certain guys had it. He even though his career was from time, he went to the shows in his time a young boy, and then starts hanging out more and more, 14, 15, 16. Breaks in at 18. He's got a 10-year career from 18 to 28, and makes a shitload of money. And like you said, probably made $100,000 on a down year, back then. He had an it factor, man. He had a good body, good ring work, and an excellent mic skills. All the ingredients to make a fucking perfect wrestler.
Oh yeah.
Which should take us to number 2, the $1 Million Man. Right there. Tell us about that, because I heard that too, and I just was like, wait a minute, that makes sense, because he could have done it, I think.
Well, so, I'm going to have to kind of come at this from a couple different angles to really get my thought.
Yeah.
Put this down. So I was listening to Bruce Pritchard talk about the $1 Million Man, gimmick, and he was talking about how Ted DiBiase was just a star. He goes, you're sitting in a bar, Ted walked in, everybody stopped what they were doing and looked at him. And that was kind of where the genesis of the $1 Million Man thing came from. But then as he's going through that, he says, but who could have really done a better $1 Million Man, who was a real $1 Million Man? Gino Hernandez.
Yeah.
And, there's that thing that I had heard somebody say at one time, but I think it was bullshit that was the $1 Million Man gimmick was supposed to be Gino. I think what was probably happening there was Bruce Pritchard was taken out of context. Somebody heard what he said, but heard it a different way,
That's what I think too. But I will say this. I had heard it because I listened to what Bruce was saying. I think that was taken out of context that it was for him or what have you. But I will say this. I think he would have been a great $1 Million Man. That would have been a gimmick for him. That, I agree with however they got it mixed up. I don't think it was for him per se, but if it were, he would have been a great $1 Million Man. And that's not to take anything away from Ted DiBiase, who done it. That character was so over, it's wild, man, how over he was. So, but I think Gino could have done it though.
Oh, I absolutely think it, because he was already partway there as far as just his normal, just gorgeous Gino was already 2/3 of the way to the $1 Million Man.
Right.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, you're talking about the Stallone and Eric Estrada thing. You can't tell me that him wearing those aviators wasn't due to chicks. You can't tell me that.
I knew at some point you'd probably bring that up.
Yeah, every time you see Gino in street clothes, man, he's wearing some aviators that Paunch would have rocked, And he has very, very similar style to Eric Estrada. Now, I was at a comic convention one time where Eric Estrada was at, right? And when he smiled, to this day, there's still a gleam that can be seen across the room on his smile. I mean,
man.
Yeah, chicks just passed out. He's an older man now, and chicks are just passing out when he walks by, But Gino had that very similar style, that very similar kind of look to him. Yeah, and that was in. That was the thing, So, that was actually it. But, as far as the $1 Million Man thing goes, Gino was rolling in some fucking cash. Gino had the lifestyle of a rich man. The 80s were fueled by cocaine, and so was Gino Hernandez. Look, I'm not here to glamorize drug use, but I'm not here to stigmatize it.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people have drug problems. Drugs do good and bad things for a lot of people. But the 80s were very much cocaine fueled. Show business was all about it. I'm sure the wrestling business, it was, you know, like you're talking about, these guys have to go work 7 nights a week, and if you're at the world champion level, you're working, you know, you could be in Albuquerque one day and Tokyo the next.
Yeah.
I'm sure cocaine was a very common, you know, you do a little bump to get a little bump to keep running. I wouldn't doubt it very much if it was more common than we think.
Yeah, I'd heard it was the rich man's aspirin back in the 80s, you know, so, just one of those things, just came with territory, so to say, you know, Hollywood through wrestling, through a lot of other subcultures as well, man, you know, obviously, you know, rock, entertainment, anything with entertainment, you're traveling that much, you know, that kind of stuff. But anyway, yeah, we're not here to judge anyone, man. I'm going to say this, though. Let's move on to number one. I'm just going to put this out there, because I know we're pressed for some time towards the end of the hour here. I think it's been great, but I guess of all things, you know, we've talked about him, how handsome he's been, he's $1 billion man, this, that. I just went with what you said there, a couple of times. I said, maybe number one ought to be, he was just, because you did something like this with, Gary Hart. And I said, you know what? I'm with what you wrote down there. It's like, he's just one dapper son of a bitch, man. He just, like you said, he's just talking about having his aviators on. You know, he had the suits and the ties, the Armanis, you know, he was just one dapper son of a bitch. And I'm just going to kind of, put that as number one and just, you know, what do you think? You agree with me? He was just a dapper son of a bitch, man?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you that he was.
Well, you had it down at number one.
Yeah, but, you know, Bobby, I've had some time to think about it. And, you know, yeah, he was dapper, but you know what? I'm pulling out the Freebird rule.
No, not the Freebird rule.
Oh, yeah.
This episode of Gino, man.
I'll pull it out the Freebird rule.
What do you got?
All right.
What do you got?
Gino Hernandez knew how to go out in style. All right. Gino was buried in a platinum casket with 2 magnums of Dom Perignon and his American Express card. And back then, the American Express card was for high rollers. It was not what it is today, like not accepted anywhere. It was for guys that bankrolled a lot of money and paid it off at the end of every month. So Gino was buried like an Egyptian pharaoh, man. I mean,
so if there's an afterlife, hell, he may still be out there with champagne and the American Express card going crazy on cocaine. Who knows?
That's it.
He could have faked his own death, like you said, man. He may be hanging out with Elvis right now, who is hanging out with Marilyn Monroe, who is hanging out with JFK. You know what I'm saying? They're probably on some fucking island right now, all partying together. Who knows, you know?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, man, the Freebird rule, you got me, man. Way to go out. Platinum casket, Dom Perignon, and his American Express card, man. Yep. Wow, you got me. That was a good one there.
You don't go out there, you sucker. Not go out there.
Yeah, that's the way to go out, man.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, I know we got to wind things down, but also I know you put on here, and I like this, you've added a couple closing questions. Why don't you bring those up, and we'll kind of maybe get rolling out of here real quick.
Yeah, well, so, you know, because there was so much mystery and rumor and whatnot with Gino, I just wanted to pose a couple questions to our fans and our listeners and just say, you know, you've heard what we think about it. You know, what do you guys think? I mean, was Gino murdered? Did he fake his death? What do you guys think about that? And also, I have a question for everybody. And Bobby, I don't know if you have heard this one yet, but it's one that I've seen posed a lot that I'm interested in hearing everybody's take on. Would Gino Hernandez made a good member of the Four Horsemen?
Man, I thought that was an excellent question. You can hit Jeremy up at the Geekish Cast, hit me up at Bobby Blaze 744, but I'd really like to see or hear from a lot of people hitting us up on the Bell to Bell Blaze on Twitter, or if you're in the Facebook group there, Bell to Bell Blaze. I'd really personally, from our fans, because I do get some feedback from our fans, and it's just I think we got a very intelligent fan base for wrestling, you know, and I would love to hear what everyone's take is. Would Gino have made a good member of the Four Horsemen? My answer is I think 100% yes. I think I think he would have been a great member of the Four Horsemen. You know, that's just my opinion. I don't know if he takes someone's place if he's one of them. With him and Tully, you know, is it him and Arn? You know, I always liked it when it was Tully and Arn and BW with Flair. That's just mine.
Yep.
But I think it, you know, somewhere in there, Tully, I don't, you know, with him, would have been a better fit with him and Arn. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying this. I do think he would have been his lifestyle, a Horseman lifestyle, the way he dressed, Horseman dress, you know, the way he could work, you know, the way he carried himself, and also having a strap like they all had, you know, heavyweight title, the tag team champion, the TV champion, all the titles. He would have had a title to carry around, and the way he carried himself, he'd have fit perfect in that 4 Horseman lifestyle. That's just my opinion. But I don't want to see one kicked out of Horseman. I like the Horseman gimmick, of course, and I just think he'd have been a great Horseman.
Yep. Well, okay, because Tully, in an interview I watched, Tully said they tried to get Gino to go to the Carolinas.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, and so picture this now. Okay, you got your original Horseman lineup, okay? Mm-hmm. Gino doesn't die. Ole rolls out of the Horseman, they bring Gino in. So you got Flair.
That's where I was hoping you was going. Yep. Yeah.
Flair, Arn, Tully, and Gino. And besides, you know, like my favorite version is the original. Yours is the one with Barry, but I'd say it's probably stronger with Barry. But I'd say this would give you a run for your money.
Well, I was going to say if Ole would have rolled out of there and they put Gino in there, had things been different, I think there's your perfect 4 Horsemen right there.
Yeah,
you're right. Then, you know, you can roll through, you know, so-and-so comes in and so-and-so exits and this and that through your angles or personal indifferences or what have you, why people come and left. But yeah, that would have been a great 4 Horsemen right there. You're exactly right. I did hear where Tully said, you know, he tried to get him to come to Carolinas, he just wouldn't. But it goes back to why wouldn't you? He's already making all that money in Texas, and he's, you know, 1 to 3 hours from home each and every night. And he's probably on the road 1 to 3 times a week, and that's it too. So, living in a lap of luxury, if you will, and living his lifestyle, doing his gimmick, like we've talked about throughout the podcast. So yeah, that would have been a great, 4 Horsemen right there. Perfect. That's what I would like to see that too. Unfortunately, that's not the way things rolled out. But I will say this, as we're winding things down, I hope everyone enjoyed this podcast. I know our voices kind of, seem crazy. I'm even in a different room today. And where I'm recording on the phone, we are on phones. I have no Wi-Fi. It was coming and going. Very windy here. So, but the main thing is, I think all week, Professor and myself, we looked really forward to doing this podcast because we knew we would have so much fun with it. And I know the way we did it, like I said, we went back a couple of weeks and we done Gary Hart's, we done a manager, just kind of give you guys an idea, just teasing here a little bit. Then we done the territory, the great state of Texas. And then we done one of the stars from that territory with Gino Hernandez. So you can look forward to the rest of season 6, but we got it lined out pretty good. And I'm feeling real confident about this season, Professor.
Yeah, this one, you know, when we stumbled across how we were going to do it, I mean, I guess we might as well just talk about that real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we knew we were going to do Gary Hart, but we didn't know what to follow it up with. And then as we were getting ready to do the Gary Hart one, I said, fuck it, what do you think about just doing the history of Texas as a wrestling state? Just, you know, hit that. And you were like, yeah, that sounds good, but what do we do to follow that up? And that's when you're like, Gino Hernandez. And we're like, oh, so what if we build the whole season like that?
Yeah.
So that's what the rest of the season holds. We've got it all plotted out. We do have some holidays and things in there, so there's going to be, well, you know, in 2 weeks is the first annual WKRP turkey drop. So we're going to have to take some time for that one. You're right outside of Cincinnati. Are you going to go to that?
Nah, I don't know, man. I'm still wondering if a turkey can fly or not.
No, okay. I'm pretty sure they can.
I think they can fly.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I should go down there. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But so, yeah, the rest of the season, we've got kind of planned out that same way. We're going to do was it a manager, a territory, and a wrestler? Was that how we're structuring it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
So this is going to be a fun season. Really looking forward to it. But yeah, guys, let us know. What do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts on Gino? Some of the rumors about him. What do you made a good member of the 4 Horsemen? Bobby, you got anything you want to close up on?
Oh man, look, man, this has been a fun episode. It took us an hour and a half to even get going with all the, with modern technology, but hopefully this all comes out good. People, you know, man, there's people still getting sick and people still dying out there. So, you know, just if you have to go out, wear a mask, practice your social distancing, wash your hands, man, and, just stay safe and stay strong. That's what I'm going to try to do. I don't know if it's the best advice I can give anyone. It's just this, you know, stay strong, stay safe. That's why I tell a lot of people, I'm just texting back and forth throughout the day or what have you or whatever. But, also, and I speak about this every week, or to a little bit about it, take care of your own mental health too, man. Sometimes I got to run through things my own self mentally. And, sometimes you just got to say, man, don't beat yourself up so hard. It's trying times everywhere. Or, you know, there's a pandemic going on or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, you got to say, you know, hey man, you know, take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, and however you do that, to each their own. I'm just saying, don't beat yourself up over it and be kind to each other, but also be kind to yourself, man. And I know people probably get tired of saying, Bobby, why do you always say it that way? Because it's kind of a reminder to myself as well, Jeremy, because sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, you know, and, I just beat myself up. But you know what? You don't need to judge yourself so hard, don't need to be so harsh on yourself, and don't talk down yourself. If you can learn to do those things, it does help you throughout the day, or, you know, to lay down at night saying, you know what, man, you're doing all right. Just keep doing your best. Keep doing your best every day. So that's just what I want to close out on, man. And, hell, we're halfway through November. So, let's just see what happens, man.
Yeah, this year. I hate to blame things on a year, but 2020. I hate to see it go by so quick because I feel like I'm losing a year, but I can't wait to see this year come to an end. This son of a bitch needs to be walked off a gangplank into the middle of the ocean.
Take us out of here, Professor.
All right. Well, everybody, for Tex Johnson, Bobby Blaze, for Tex Johnson and Bobby Blaze and myself, Professor Jeremy Vilmur, bye-bye, everybody.